Hi guys, I am going to tell you about a couple of articles that I read. I actually read three, but I'm going to tell you about two. One is Obesity as a Disability under the ADA Act. It was done in spring 2013 in the Employee Relations Law Journal. What it basically says with the epidemic of obesity in the United States, it is kind of filtering into our job market. That what they're saying is overweight people are actually earning less money, 1 to 6% less, just based on their weight. They are getting fewer promotions. Some have been fired or suspended just based on their weight, not on their job performance. And so what was happening and what is happening is people are trying to become a protective citizen on your obesity. Currently, Michigan is the only state that has enacted legislation that explicitly prohibits discrimination based on a person's weight. Although there's no federal statute that specifically identifies obese individuals as a protected class, employees and job applicants across America have initiated lawsuits alleging disability discrimination on basis of their weight. Prior to America's Disabilities Act of 2008, they faced an issue of whether obese individuals should be protected under the ADA. What they have decided is that just because you're overweight doesn't mean that you are going to be protected by it. But if you have, say, like diabetes or a symptom of overweightness, the diabetes would be under the act. So if you have high blood pressure, they couldn't fire you over your high blood pressure. They would have to give you a reasonable accommodation, but it wouldn't be because of your weight. I don't know if that makes sense. It does to me. It's really kind of interesting how it's kind of like a double-edged sword. So I think there's a lot that's going to go on. This is like a new kind of debate on if obesity affects your job. And so anyways, they have had a few people bring their go to court for it. And so what they are telling employers to do, because two won and one didn't, is that it's really on a case-by-case basis. If you have somebody who is obese and say they need a seatbelt extender, one guy didn't provide a seatbelt extender and he went to court and he actually lost. So you have to give them reasonable accommodations if it affects their job, but how much is reasonable, I guess. So anyways, that's the first one. Second one I really enjoyed was accents in the workplace and their effects in the job interview. What this interview, this one talked about was they did 3 individuals. One was Colombian, one had a French accent, and one had a Midwestern U.S. accent. So during the interview, the Colombian accent and the Midwestern U.S. accent got the same feedback, that they felt either one of them would have done a great job and people would have hired them. Now the French accent, he actually was perceived as less, even though he had the same skills, but I guess because his accent was thicker or a little bit less similar than what we normally are used to, then they actually discriminated a little bit against, because he had as much education and everything as everyone else. So what they are saying is that there's a hypothesis that the similar attraction does definitely affect employers and how employers hire, meaning that we like people who are similar to us. And because the Colombian accent is something that we hear more, and it's not as thick and it's not as different than our accent, they were perceived as higher up or more qualified than the French accent. So just, I guess, as we kind of go through our program here, and maybe when we become human resource and we're hiring people, we need to make sure that we are not discriminating people based on accents. And that is kind of the same thing as race, you know, gender, age discrimination. So where does the accent come in? So it was a really interesting article. I think you should read it. And it was in the, let's see, International Union of Psychological Science. the International Journal of Psychology. There you go. Have a great day.